Welcome to the Tuesday Best Bet Show from the Early Wedge. I am your host, Eric Cohen. Hey, what a week we had. I mean, we came out, Sia and I had Justin Thomas, and that just kind of followed up an awesome year that we've had. Let's roll this graphic here before I introduce everyone. Look at this. So Patrick hits Joe Highsmith in his long shots 110-1. Then he hits Sergio Garcia, who I said was not going to win Live Hong Kong. Then Jason and Sia hit Carl Phillips at the Puerto Rico Open when I had no idea who Carl Phillips actually was. All right, I hit an 8-1 with Joaquin Neiman. We got Justin Rose. That was cool. Patrick, you would have had that. We talked about that before the show. And then Sia and I had Justin Thomas last week. So this show is doing pretty darn good, and we're glad to have you with us. Now, let us bring in the stars of the show. We have the aforementioned Sia Nejad, who is the host of The Early Edge every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, one of the great golf betting minds on the planet. One of the great golf writers and golf personalities on the planet is Jason Sobel. You can hear him, Sirius XM. You got to read his column every week at BetMGM. It is a must for me on Tuesday mornings. And then we welcome back our friend, Patrick McDonald, who we've missed so much from CBSSports.com. All right, Patrick, tell us about Augusta.
It was good, but I was actually just over across the pond checking in on the conclave, trying to get an angle in for who's going to be our guy heading up the Catholic Church here in a few weeks. I'm excited. I read a power ranking article in the Wall Street Journal this morning. I'm not kidding. Dark horse candidate, quoting them, a guy from Chicago would be, I think, like the first American Pope. So rooting for that, obviously, to get one of our boys in there. But Augusta,
what's the
cathedral of golf, also pretty cool.
What's the number on the new Pope? We getting a long shot in there?
I haven't looked yet. I haven't cross-referenced the Wall Street Journal bigwig article in the offshore accounts, but that's next on the to-do list.
Patrick, what's the coolest part about being at the Masters?
The coolest part, I met Jason Sobel. That was definitely up there. I was eating breakfast with Rick and met Jason. That would be 1A. 1B, probably no cell phones. It was awesome just watching golf without it, trying to get information from people, talking to people. I said it last week, humans are just humans. It's like they actually know how to act and interact with one another as opposed to just looking down, looking at their phones. They look up and talk to one another. I'd say that's probably the coolest part. And, I mean, the golf course, them take care of us, all that jazz.
Sobel, I'm glued to my phone. I don't know what I would do without my phone for hours on end. Do you agree with Patrick that it's cool being without cell phones, or is it kind of antiquated?
It's cool for like an hour. And then after an hour, you're like, my thigh is buzzing. There's got to be something down there. I will say that I had a sticker for my phone. I was supposed to have one this year and didn't wind up getting it. My field producer for Sirius XM had one so we could see what was going on when we were doing interviews, which is very helpful. And we could text back and forth with the guys in the studio. That said, one year I had one, and I'm probably not supposed to say this, and I probably wasn't supposed to do it. But, man, I was out at Amen Corner, like, taking selfies like that, doing this. Security guards are running, sir, you can't have no, I got a sticker. And they were like, oh, yeah, but you're not, okay, whatever. And they just kind of let me go. So I put it away, but I did get selfies at Amen Corner, which is, not too many people have done that.
I think that's awesome. Sia, speaking of awesome, you and I last week, Justin Thomas, you and OAD. Now, we're not picking OAD this week because it's a team event. You are 6th overall in the Early Wedge Challenge.
Wow. Yeah, but that's like out of like 10 people, right? Like, how many do we have in this thing?
I think like over 1,000, something
like that. Oh,
that's
right. It is over 1,000. Yeah, my bad. I just forgot for a second.
There we go.
Yeah, I think it's over like 5,000, actually.
I mean... So that's, Sia, really impressive. Over $9 million in earnings. I mean, the rest of us combined, we got a ways to go to catch up to you. But JT last week, what did you like about JT? Why were you so hell-bent on him?
I explained it on the show last week. I mean, his metrics at RBC, the RBC Heritage at Harbortown, were really good. It looked like we always have trouble with Justin Thomas when it comes to the driver and how he manages courses and how he always tries to hit like the perfect shot. Granted, in the second, third, and fourth round, like there was some trouble there, but it does seem like Harbortown is a place where he's very comfortable navigating, particularly off the tee. So it just seemed like if Justin Thomas is going to get a win anytime soon, this is probably going to be the place. And 2 out of his last 4, he had top 10. coming in with great form, probably should have had a tournament under his belt, and somehow Hovland caught him. It just seemed really ripe for JT to win. And credit to you, EC. You're always underplaying your wins 20-1, and then you just kind of blow by the 65-1 on Justin Rose, first round leader at Augusta. You're crushing it too, my friend.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. The only reason I was playing FRLs is because Patrick wasn't here, so no more FRLs for me.
I mean, I leave for a couple weeks and everyone's making money, so we might be onto something.
Now let's try to make some money here at this team event in New Orleans, the Zurich Classic. We're going to do a little point counterpoint to start. Patrick, your storyline is not so positive. Let's hear it.
I hate this tournament. I absolutely despise it. That's exactly what people want to hear listening to this right now. But it's tough to bet. It's tough to kind of figure out how two players' games are going to complement one another. If one guy is going to be dragging the other guy down. Rory McIlroy obviously won this tournament, and at some points it was in spite of what Shane Lowry did over the weekend. And so I think we're coming off the Masters. We're coming off a great RBC heritage. Your guys' pockets are flowing with cash right now. The NBA playoffs are going on. Maybe just take it back a step. Bet on some basketball. Wait till next week when real golf returns and keep that money pocketed until the major championships start rolling around again.
Sia, I'm going to assume that you have a different opinion.
I love this tournament. I will agree in one small aspect. The bankroll. Like, if you want to spend a little less in DFS, I actually think it's a really fun DFS week in particular. But if you want to spend a little bit less in DFS, if you want to spend a little bit less with your bankroll, I actually completely understand that. But the idea that this isn't fun, it's our only team event. We've got so many just like random pairings together. And by the way, like from a DFS standpoint, I think Thursday and Saturday are like kind of fun because you're piling up the birdies and you're trying to score and all of those things, make the cut on Thursday, all of those things, top 33 and ties move on. But the theater on alternate shot, particularly on Sunday, you've got so many no-name golfers who may be trying to earn their card, maybe earn respect in PGA Tour circles that are going to be competing. Don't forget, last year we had Shane Lowry and Rory McIlroy take it down, but they had to go to a playoff against, wait for it, Chad Ramey and Martin Traynor. There's plenty. Davis Riley, Nick Hardy getting 2-year exemptions because they won a couple of years ago. There's a lot of these kind of like bottom feeder teams, I don't know how else to put it, that can contend here and that will contend here. So A, I think it's competitive regardless who is at the top. And B, I think this alternate shot format just lends itself to kind of like a certain different level of stress and different level of anticipation than you get at a normal event, because this guy who's like really leaning on his partner it comes down to Sunday afternoon, whether or not his partner can hit the right approach or hit the right putt. I think it's super fun. And by the way, we got a lot of like really cool narratives, like the Paul brothers from the Outlaw Tour. Remember when COVID hit, we had to bet on the Outlaw Tour, and Jeremy and Yannick Paul were guys like, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm putting him in my DFS lineup. And so same with his brother. We got the Fitzpatricks here, obviously the Hoygaards, some random pairings that we'll probably talk about. This is exciting. What are we all talking about? This is exciting.
I mean, if you can bet it, sounds good to me. So will you bring the facts here? Tell us about how does the top of the odds board do here?
Okay, so first of all, you're both right. Sia's right. It's a really fun tournament. I applaud the PGA Tour for years ago deciding to make this a team event and give people a little outside the box thinking and format on this one. I think it's really fun. And Patrick, you're right, because it's my least favorite tournament to bet all year. So everybody's right. We all get points on that one. All right, as far as actually betting on it, as far as outrights, and yes, Sia's right. We've seen some teams come out of nowhere and at least be up there on the leaderboard. But for the last 5 years, the eventual winner has been 16-1 or shorter pre-tournament. And basically it jibes with what I think is, if you take a superstar player, it's really hard for an average PGA Tour player to beat him. If you take two really good players, it's even harder for two average players to go beat those two players. And so it makes sense to kind of pick and choose from the top of the board. So I don't think we're going to see too many of our outrights from too far down the odds board this week, but hopefully we're all trying to avoid Rory and Lowry as we get into this thing.
And so that's where I was going to go with my storyline. You got to play the without market here. I mean, the way Rory McIlroy's playing, what they did last year, the odds aren't that different. Yeah, I'm playing the without market. And you don't have to worry about Colin Morikawa and Kurt Kitayama either in that without market makes it easier. Parlay it with some tennis. Hey, you can get that up to 80 to 1, 100 to 1. Just throwing it out there. All right, let's go to first round leaders. And I look at the board, and one of my do not bets, we're going to talk a lot about this in this event, is Keith Mitchell, who's partnered with JT Poston. Patrick, you're rolling with him for FRL. Wait, so are the other two of you. So Patrick, I'll start with you. Why are we going with Kashmir Keith here?
I mean, this was the first click of the week. I assume for all of us, this guy has led after the first round, I think, in every tournament of 2025. Don't quote me on that, but it certainly feels like that. And then you get to pair him with someone like JT Poston, who can get red hot on the greens also. I'm guessing they threaten to break 60 on Thursday, the way these two guys can go. So kind of a no-brainer, I thought.
Okay, fair enough. Sobel, you're with him, so explain more and talk about your other one.
Yeah, so in my Chris Berman voice, anytime all the experts on an NFL panel are on the same team, hey, we're all on the Raiders, whatever it might be. We're doing the same thing here, which means Mitchell and Poston are going to shoot 74 total in the first round. But remember, it's best ball first round and third round, alternate shot, second and fourth round, so they can step on the gas pedal, be a little aggressive with their birdie putts on the first day. And yeah, these are two guys that can get hot in a hurry, and Keith Mitchell loves playing golf on Thursdays. I'm not so sure about Saturdays and Sundays right now, but he does love Thursdays. He's played so well. First round scoring average, last I checked, he's top 5. I think he was third the last time I checked. That might have been before last week, but I really like him. And then two other guys who can go low in a hurry. Nico Echeverria leads the PGA Tour in putting right now. Max Gracerman can get hot in a hurry as well, so I like those guys too, really for the full tournament, but especially for the first round.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we're all kind of aligned, and I like him for the full tournament. We'll talk more about him later in the show. I don't know if it's a good thing that we're all aligned, but hey, we've won a lot recently on this show. No, you know what? We've won a lot recently, and we've been aligned. So you know what? I'll take it. Sia, you have a 4-bagger for us. Poston and Mitchell, Gracerman, and Echevarria, but explain your other two.
I tried to get this down to 2. Oh, excuse me. I tried to get this down to 3, and I had 5. I actually left off Gerard and Danny Walker, who I also like at around 50 to 1. I will I'll point this out. Gracerman and Echeverria are in the afternoon. So if you did want to disqualify one because you think 4 is too many, that would be the one probably to, at least for me, to disqualify. But I love where Jason Sobel's going with it. It's like team all putt, but it's also a really good course fit for those two. As far as Rasmus and Nikolai, they can get hot at any moment. Particularly Rasmus, we've actually seen it. Not over 4 rounds, but over 1 or 2 rounds, we've absolutely seen it. I think it's a great course fit for both of them. Again, at 35 to 1, I think these guys can get hot. And I think, honestly, one of them can get really hot on Thursday. As far as the only other one we didn't talk about, it's Rico Hoey and Sam Ryder. I mean, when is Sam Ryder not near the top on day one? And when we talk about Rico Hoey, he doesn't really have the putter, but can he find it for one day? And again, he's got Ryder helping him out with the putter, at least on, Ryder's holes that he birdies or maybe chips in for eagle like Sam Ryder tends to do. So the auto clicks for me were Poston, Mitchell, and Hoey and Ryder when it comes to the first round. And then I've got these 2 others as outrights, as you'll find later on in the show. And I wanted to find a way to get them in here as well.
Fair enough. Coming up next, let's talk a little matchups. Now, a lot of them aren't out yet, but Sobel's got a 3-pack for us. So we'll find out what they are after we hear from one of our sponsors.
One of golf's elite courses, Quail Hollow, hosts the game's top players at the PGA Championship this May on CBS.
See, I'm going right back to you for this one as far as matchups go, because you're going to give out a round 1. What do you got?
Yeah, last week I did the same thing. It actually came in. I gave out 2 matchups last week. I ended up losing the Sepp Straka versus Sung J M. That lost by 1 stroke because Sung J had 2 eagles on day 4. But anyway, that one came close. But my round 1 matchup came in. I'm going to run it back here. I didn't like a lot of the round 1 matchups, but this one did stick out to me a little bit. Hoey and Sam Ryder, again, really good first round guys in my opinion. But I also like how they complement each other. Now that's the complementing each other is more a Friday and Sunday thing. Either way, Joseph Bramlett and Alex Smalley. Like, Bramlett's been okay lately, but I don't think he's the caliber of either Sam Ryder or Rico Hoey. I don't think I'm breaking any news there. As far as Alex Smalley, well, he certainly is. And he's arguably the best guy in this foursome here. And normally you just want to go with the best guy because we're going, you get to play your ball, right? But Smalley's really fallen off. And I'm playing that trend right now. Over the last 4 tournaments or so, Smalley just hasn't been the dude he was early in the year. And Hoey's been solid, and Sam Ryder's, been okay. So I just feel like one of those two will prevail over Alex Smalley. Ultimately, give me the -110.
All right. I get that one. Now, Sobel, you found a 3-pack of tournament matchups. First of all, where did you find these? And then give us some logic.
Well, they're at BetMGM, and I will pull the curtain back a little bit for the folks out there watching. Matt's producing the show today. He gives us the rundown. The rundown says matchups, and there's 3 lines listed there. And so I want to be a good employee. And so I go, okay, I got to find 3 matchups. I don't know. I'm still new here, guys. I don't know that we're allowed to skip it like Patrick is, or only give 1 and make it a round 1 like Sia does. So I look for 3 of my favorite matchups. These are very small plays for me. I don't love them. I was on the golf course, honestly, 2 hours ago, and I couldn't find matchups this morning when I filled out the whole rundown and all my picks. So 2 hours ago, I'm sitting there on the 13th hole waiting for my buddies to hit. I'm like, oh, I found them. They're up there. So I put them in. Laurie Cantor and Jordan Smith. Jordan Smith was top 5 last week in China. If you can get over the jet lag, I like them over Gim and Kim, who probably don't make enough birdies. Those Cantor and Smith are a couple of really good ball strikers, probably undervalued just because they don't play a ton of golf on the PGA Tour, but I do like them. I talked already about Grayserman and Echeverria. I like Højgaard and Højgaard. Look, they know each other's games. They've been together since they were in the womb, so makes some sense, but I'm going to go with Grayserman and Echeverria there, very small. And then Ryan Fox, who's you might think almost like an older brother, if not father figure, to Garrett Higo, who's much younger, but they get along really well. They've played in this before, done well before. Higo's coming off a win in Punta Cana. I really like them over Olesen and Matt Wallace.
Well, I want to talk about Higo for a second. Patrick, I'll throw this one to you. I mean, how do we describe what happened to Joel Damon on Sunday when he was plus 190 to win the whole thing on Friday and somehow loses?
Just brutal, just absolutely brutal. Obviously, the 3-putt there on 17 from just off the green, missing that 2-footer it was, and then not getting up and down on the 18th hole. Said he had a good putt, just missed on the low side. Just seemed like nerve got to him. Higo, right place, right time. It's not like he finished in a flurry either. He had a really weak putt on the 18th hole for birdie there, and it's just crazy. This guy's 2 wins on the PGA Tour, I don't want to say have been handed to him, but they have come at the cost of someone else faltering down the stretch mightily. And there's obviously skill involved with having to be there. And I mean, Tommy Fleetwood has 0 wins. Your boy EC Cam Young has 0 wins, and Garrett Higo has 2. So credit to him.
And the one thing that impressed me about Joel Damon last week, and Sobel obviously is somebody that conducts interviews after the round, Joel Damon stood up and faced the music. You got to give him props for that at least. Yeah,
no doubt. Look, Joel Damon is a class act. He's a guy that doesn't shy away from the cameras. He's going to go up there and tell you, yeah, I choked. I hit a terrible putt on 17. I can't believe I missed that. And he's at least going to he's going to talk every time afterwards. Not going to pull a Colin Morikawa and say, I don't owe it to anyone. But you can tell that's written all over his face. But this is why Joel Damon has a lot of fans. We saw it in the Netflix show a couple of years ago, and we've seen it in the past where he's very humanizing. He's got some humility. It's more than you can say about a lot of the players out there who everyone thinks they're a superstar when you've got a team of people around you who are telling you how great you are all the time. But Joel Damon is a very down-to-earth kind of guy.
This all feeds into matchups. Go ahead, Sia.
I was just going to say, I do feel bad because Sobel's right. I didn't realize the BetMGM matchups were out. Like, I was checking all day. Like, they weren't out on DraftKings or FanDuel as far as I could tell. BetMGM must have been the first one to put them out. So he did leave himself out on an island. I didn't realize. So we got to get a text group together for this show so that, like, we can alert each other because you shouldn't be the only one putting tournament matchups out there. I will take a look later, maybe on the Early Edge tomorrow or in the SportsLine Discord. I'll put out a couple as well.
And make sure to, if you're a SportsLine member, and that's a great point, Sia, if you are not in the SportsLine Discord, make sure to sync your account today. Sia is dropping knowledge all weekend long at random hours of the day and night. Sia is in there dropping knowledge. Got to be a member of the Discord. It's actually awesome. Yeah, it's. I mean, seriously, we got tennis picks every day. We've got auto racing picks. I mean, the experts from SportsLine are doing a really, really good job with that, and C is one of them. So appreciate that. All right, let's get to more Garrett Higo talk. We haven't even talked about like Billy Horschel and Tom Hoagie. We're talking about Garrett Higo. It's time for finishing positions. And Sia, Let's start there. I mean, top 20, Garrett Higo and Ryan Fox, do tell.
Yeah, it was Zach Kasenki in the chat. By the way, thanks for being in here, everybody. He says, Sia, no respect for Fox and Higo, because I guess in my previous picks, I didn't mention them. Well, here you go. You might see them later as well, Zach. But yeah, I like both Fox and Higo in terms of how they set up for this course. I think obviously Higo's playing pretty well. And it's not just last week. Over the last 4 tournaments or so, he's looked pretty good. And Ryan Fox, when you look at the metrics, they're like a little underwhelming, but they're okay. And let's remember, Ryan Fox is a good golfer. Like, he's been around for, been playing on the PGA Tour for a few years now, and he does seem to set up really well here. I mean, going to be long off the tee, can absolutely get hot with the putter. I think this team is incredibly sneaky. Now, some people might say, well, Garrett Higo just won last week. He's probably partying all week. I don't know that that's true necessarily, but I also think it's less impactful knowing that he has a partner that is also leaning on him. I think if you're just going out there and it's just you the next week, then maybe you kind of relax. But with a partner, especially a partner in Ryan Fox, who hasn't been playing that well, or at least not Ryan Fox expectations over the last year or two, I think this is an important tournament for him. I think Garrett Higo is going to show up. Top 20 at plus money. I like it. Poston and Mitchell, you could top 10 this at plus 188. I decided to take the super conservative route because BetMGM was offering the minus 135. Other sites aren't being so nice. I saw minus 155 at some other major sites, but I like the minus 135 well enough. But I will say, if you don't want to pay the juice, I think top 10 is certainly reasonable at like plus 188, plus 200. I just decided to play it conservatively here. So minus 135 and a plus 125.
We're going to go with in order of, of our experts. We'll go in order of odds here. So, Sobel, you're up next. You talked about Cantor and Smith, but Bridgman and Phillips, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, Jacob Bridgman, another really good putter. And Sia's right. If we're going to target anybody, and again, this is a really hard tournament to try to handicap from a statistical perspective. The data analysis is tougher for this one, I think, than pretty much any other event on the schedule. But I'm looking for long hitters, but I'm also looking for really good putters. Jacob Bridgman's a really good putter. Chandler Phillips has been pretty good this year. You only have to beat 60 other teams to be in the top 20. It's almost, you almost take the perspective of being like a signature event, but without many of the signature type players in the field, because there are only 80 teams. So top 20, you really only have to be in the top 25th percentile. And that's not too bad to figure out. At plus money, I'll take my shot on Cantor Smith and on Bridgman Phillips this week.
Patrick, I'm really impressed with you here. You're going with a plus 250 for your top 20 with a couple of players that I'm not sure we expected to talk about on this program.
Well, one, thank you, EC. Your approval means everything to me.
I figured as much, yes.
And two, how can we not talk about last year's runner-up, Chad Ramey, plus 250, with an upgrade as a teammate? No offense to the Frenchman, Martin Trainer, formerly a Frenchman maybe, or back to a Frenchman potentially. Not quite sure of his nationality. But Justin Lauer, don't call me lower, plus 250 for a top 20. Ramey's coming off a top 5 there in Corrales, had a top 20 at the Texas Open before that. Lauer made the cut last week, also hitting it well. Sobel talked about the need for putting. These guys can both really roll the rock. And for top 20, plus 250, I kind of liked them 100 to 1 to win this tournament also. Shied away from it, but wanted some action on them. So landed on the top 20.
Top 20 makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, Sia.
I just want to mention a couple other teams. Like, a lot of times I'll like write some stuff down right when finishing position stuff comes out, which is usually Monday, as opposed to these matchups that we talked about, which came out this afternoon. But a couple of names that I wrote down, we're probably not going to talk much about them, but I thought Aaron Ryan and Sahith Theegala, top 20. I think you can get that near even money. Maybe not anymore. I haven't really checked up on these numbers. I thought that was pretty good, but I also want to mention kind of a long shot, one that I'm probably playing in DFS, Quade Cummins and Chris Gotterup. Quade Cummins is playing good golf lately. Chris Gotterup, I think, is a good course fit, can certainly bomb it off the tee. Metrics don't really speak to me, and if memory serves, the putter hasn't been great, but I could see those two doing well. Their top 20 is plus 210, plus 220, that range. I think actually at BetMGM, it might be plus 225. I think those are some sneaky teams that you could bet at really good plus money.
Sobel.
I need a deep dive. And I think it's been done before, kind of scratching the surface, but I need a deep dive on all the interpersonal relationships and the text messages and the phone calls that are going on behind the surface. I thought about it when Patrick was talking about Chad Ramey, who finished in second last year with Martin Trainer. And at some point, Trainer, who I believe is playing mostly on the Corn Ferry Tour, called up Ramey and was like, hey, man, we're running it back this year. We're going. And he's like, no, I'm going with a better player than you. I need to hear all about how these conversations unfold between the players, because there's some disappointed dudes out there that are like, wait, I've played with my guy every year and now he just went to somebody else. I used to give Ryan Palmer crap about it every single year. He went from Spieth to Rahm to Scotty Scheffler 3 years in a row. And I was like, dude, you're just picking off like the best player in the world and calling him up early. He's like, yeah, and what's your point? I'm like, okay, good job. That's my point.
I think this is so fascinating, Jason, because we're never going to know most of these. And I'm kind of hoping that like we do have some information on some of these at some point, because I do think there's a lot of drama and certainly a lot of implications involved. Again, 2-year exemptions, FedEx points, money, like all of those things really matter to some of these. I was looking at Hoey and Ryder. This is a good example of what Jason's talking about, because I was like, I saw they both missed the cut last year. I think Hoey doesn't have much experience here, missed cut last year. Ryder does have really good experience here, but just last year, not so much. And I was like, oh, they must have played together last year. So I looked it up and I'm like, oh no. Hoey was with Justin Suh and Sam Ryder was with Bo Hostler. I might have gotten that backwards, but I'm pretty sure that was the pairing. And I'm like, well, what gives? Like, why did they switch? Because Hostler's in this tournament. I don't know about Justin Suh. I didn't actually look at him. He might be in here, but Hostler's in this tournament with a different partner. I just think it's really interesting. And Hostler's not a slouch either, so I just think it's really interesting how these guys decide to pair up or pair down, if you will.
I love the idea of a draft. So there's 160 players in, everyone commits to the field, and then we're going like NFL draft style. So, so the worst player gets to pick. So Sang Moon Bae is like, I'll take that Rory dude. He's on my squad.
Yes.
The next guy gets to pick. And we actually get some even teams instead of Rory saying, yeah, I'm taking Shane Lowry. He's pretty good. And it's like, yeah, okay, they're massive favorites. So they're going to maybe go out there and win again. But yeah, try to even things up a little bit.
That's a great idea. And it would be must-see TV for golf fans.
Televise that. Absolutely.
Oh, it would be amazing.
It would be. That's a great idea.
And to further that, like, because maybe you don't want to have like Sang Moon Bae, like have the ability to choose from everybody for whatever reason. It might just be like, it might just go down in a weird way. You could still kind of randomize it where you put players in like 4 different quadrants and the quadrants are random. So when it's Bae's pick, it's random which quadrant he gets. And from that quadrant of, let's say 40 people or whatever it is, whatever the math is, he has to pick one of those guys. It could be a friend of his, or it could be somebody that he thinks really good. It's up to that player to decide what angle he wants to take. I just think that would be, Jason, I think you're onto something.
I will say, I love the idea. That said, if they did that, Rory McIlroy is not going to be there because Rory McIlroy is only there because he's playing Shane Lowry. So, I mean, this is a great idea in theory, but it's never going to actually be executed because Rory's like, yeah, I'm not playing with that dude. I don't even know who he is. So
that's true. But the truth is, like, the majority of the players are in that like second to third to fourth tier. So I still think there would be, even if Rory didn't play in the tournament, I don't know that there would be more or less appeal on the Zurich Classic. I guess automatically it would be because it is Rory. But it's not like a ton of people are paying attention to this event anyways, is the point I'm making.
Fair enough. I'm going to be paying attention with these couple of finishing positions. Carl Phillips, Michael Thorbjornsen. So Carl Phillips had been horrible since his win. 3 straight missed cuts. Then he goes out and he's in the top 10 through 2 rounds. And somehow on the 54th hole, I think he triple bogeyed on Saturday and then things went awry on Sunday really bad. Michael Thorbjornsen finished T2 at Punta Cana, so we'll take a shot there with 2 talented 23-year-olds at plus 130. Then Cam Davis, 7-1, hit that last week. That was a nice top Oceana. That's what happens when Sia culture gives me some culture, and we hit a 7-1 there. Adam Svensson, yeah. I mean, listen, there's not much course history between these two, but Cam Davis won me some money last week, so we're going right back to it at plus 165. Corey Connors, on the other hand, did not win me some money, did not win us some money with top Canadian. So he's on the banned list for now after playing him over and over and over. Yeah. Well, this is not on the do not bet list, which, oh, by the way, we're going to talk about
tariff on him.
Something like that. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Can I
Regardless.
Okay, go ahead. I didn't know you. I thought
no. Go ahead, Sia. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I want to solve the Rory thing that we just brought up just real quick because I think this is a fun idea. Let's make things fun. So you could split it. so that Rory would still be incentivized, because you could have a split of FedEx Cup points and money going to the individual portion of it. But then the other half of it goes to, the other half of the FedEx Cup points that are left over or money goes to like the team event. So you've got like a singular aspect to it, but a team event aspect to it. It would still incentivize, especially if you make the purse a little higher, still incentivize high flyer golfers to some degree, because they could potentially scoop or get one half.
I got it. Okay. It's not a draft.
Right.
Just like fantasy football, we've moved on from doing drafts. We're doing auctions. If you'd like to get Rory McIlroy, you're going to have to auction off all of your FedEx Cup points to get them for this week.
FedEx Cup auction.
I've accumulated 212 FedEx Cup points. I have that to spend in the auction. How many do I want to give up for the best player?
I thought that idea was going to be better. I did. I thought it was going to be just a little bit better.
I'm going to stir on that as we go to break. Before we talk about who's on the do not bet list and may actually break that list. Last year it was controversial. We'll talk about that after we hear from one of our sponsors.
The crowd loves champions. Gladiator 2 is an epic spectacle. Remarkable! To amuse you is my only wish.
The glory is yours, not mine.
Very good. Gladiator 2, rated R. Now streaming on Paramount+.
So last year, if you were watching the show, I had the do not bet list, and Shane Lowry was on it. And upon appeal, he got the line through it because Rory carried him to a title. So, however, I thought of this year when putting together the list. And Shane Lowry, if he wins this week, no line is going through his name. So we're good there. But Sobel, who should I be most afraid of? It's going to get crossed out after this week.
It's probably Sahith Theegala. I was going to say Keith Mitchell. I think Theegala's got a good shot with Raya. I like how they team up. I'll talk about them in a little bit when we get to our outrights, but Theegala hasn't had the best season. If I'm Aaron Rye, who's a very steady player, I look at him, I go, Sahith just bombs away, go make birdies. I'll take care of the rest of the stuff if you make a big number out there.
Fair enough. Patrick, you do not have an outright pick, but you can tell us which one of these names is most in danger this week with quite a few of them playing.
I think you're okay. I think you're going to get through this week scot-free, no sweat at all. Not like the Masters when Shane Lowry had you on the ropes before that Sunday 81. I know you were.
I was never on the ropes ever.
Oh, you were on the
never
ropes.
on the ropes.
He was going head body on you, and then you got out of the corner somehow with that Sunday 81. Got lucky. The media riled him up Saturday afternoon.
If Shane Lowry beats me on this again, I'm not worried about him. I'm more worried about Tommy Fleetwood beating me than Shane Lowry.
Wow.
I'm just going to say that. Yeah, that should tell you something. All right, let's move on to outright. See, I'm going to have you go first here because I actually like one of your picks a lot. But tell us which of yours of this three that you're going to put, that producer Matt's going to put up, which is your favorite?
So the ones I picked right when the odds came out, which was Sunday night actually, which is kind of cool, were Grazerman and Echeverria and the Højgaards. What's interesting about the Grazerman number is that it's gotten longer at a lot of books. It's anywhere between like 30 and 45 to 1, but you can catch a 45 to 1. I can't remember where it was. I know my first round leaders were mostly at BetMGM, but I think these numbers are mostly at DraftKings and or FanDuel. But either way, that number's gotten longer. But again, this is team all putt, right? Like they haven't really been doing a lot great other than the putter. But every time, like Echeverria has been so good lately in terms of just making birdies. And we know Max Grazerman's pedigree. He can be long off the tee. He can putt. These guys got to dial it in with the approach play. And I absolutely think they can. Love the long number there. So that one is probably my favorite. I think the Højgaards have a lot of talent. I think, Rasmus has actually been showing up a little well. I also think they're pretty good course fits. Obviously, the chemistry should be there. And I think 28 to 1 is a fair number. Fox and Higo was the one I came around to the latest. But I'm a kind of a fan of Ryan Fox, especially on tracks like this. And Higo, even if I ignore last week, he's actually been pretty good over the last 4 or 6 weeks. So I think this is a really good number on Fox and Higo.
If Garrick Higo wins back-to-back on the PGA Tour, that's all I have to say about that. Sobel, so notice how I put mine in the winner without. So Keith Mitchell can finish second behind Rory, and we're all good here. but you think Keith Mitchell and Sahith, one of those two, is going to ruin my list.
I sure hope so. Look, I look at two things this week more so than the stats. I'm looking at guys who, first of all, like being as part of a team. Golf is an individual sport. A lot of the guys in the game, and this is why we get such awkward interviews and cliched interviews, because the guys don't really gravitate towards team sports when they're young. They take up golf. They go to the back of the range. They hit a million golf balls. They get really good. They make it to the PGA Tour. Then we stick cameras and microphones in front of their face, and they're not that interesting because they were never really that interesting to begin with. They were introverted kids, and they become introverted adults who are just really good at playing a game. There's some guys out there who are different. Keith Mitchell is completely different than that. He's a guy that likes being around people. He's social. He likes having a teammate. I think JT Poston is kind of like that as well. His caddy Aaron Fleener is a very outgoing guy. I think they're going to have fun. And to me, this is all about fun. This is like playing your member guest. Would you rather play your member guest with a guy who's he's a really good player, but just doesn't like to talk much, doesn't like to hang out, or it's my best friend. We go out there, we have a great time, we vibe off each other. That's what you want in this thing as well. I think Poston and Mitchell fit that. Thigala, I've talked to before about this, and he loves being part of a team, and I think there's some extra motivation. The other part of this is motivation. What does it mean to these guys? 2 years ago, Nick Hardy and Davis Riley basically kept their PGA Tour cards based on the fact that they won here. Players are looking to do that, but Aaron Ryan, Sahith Thigala, it's funny. They're looking to both make the Ryder Cup team, but not the same Ryder Cup team. So they have the same motivation for different results, wanting to go play against each other at Bethpage. And McGreevy and Stevens do remind me actually of Hardy and Riley from a couple of years ago. Two guys who are good players, maybe not the best in the field by any means, but they could do a world of good for their career trajectories, having a really good week here.
I'm going to take the easy way out, and you made compelling arguments for all those, especially the last one. I think I need to add some McGreevy Stevens to my card.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah, I might have to throw in some tennis parlays late tonight and wake up and cash. Listen, I'm going without Rory and Shane Lowry and Kitayama and Morikawa. I just don't want to deal with that. I don't want to get beaten by an elite player, a top 4 player in the world. So Poston and Mitchell, you guys have talked about them. How about Taylor Moore and Wyndham Clark? We haven't really talked about him. It fits in the low odds-ish trend that Sobel's given. I mean, 16-1, that's in regular markets. But hey, Clark's game's been all over the place this season. He has 2 FRLs, including at the Phoenix Open, but only a T5 in Houston is only top 10. Taylor Moore has 2 top 10s, but has been absolutely striping it off the tee consistently. Wyndham finished 3rd here in 2023 with Bo Hostler, and Taylor Moore has 2 top 4 finishes in his last 2 appearances. I think this is a very sneaky pairing and one where I would put some money, and I did put some money. Grazerman and Echeverria, they were the ones that I gave out in my $1 million parlay article at sportsline.com. See my logic there. And last week had Justin Thomas in that article as well. We're probably never going to win the million, but hey, I think 5 out of 8 hit, something like that. So
wow.
It wasn't bad. If you piecemealed them, you could have made some money. Xander Schauffele was not making a top 5 last week. Patrick, go ahead. Yes, you.
I was going to say one thing I didn't mention in support of the Grazerman Echeverria argument and Ryan Fox and Garrett Higo. And I do think it's instructive, especially at an event like this, to go back and look at the last few years leaderboard. T4, both Ryan Fox and Higo, Grazerman, Echeverria, there was 4 tied for 4th, and those 2 teams were 2 of those 4 teams. So certainly some good experience coming into this event.
Well, before we go to long shots, let's go to Live Golf first. We have Live Mexico City, and we are going to actually have a pick from Patrick McDonald, and he's going to give a bonus pick here. Yeah, you're giving us 2 for the price of 1. All right, why don't you tell us what you like at Live Mexico City? And
well,
why?
I'm not betting this, the shenanigans there down in the bayou, because I had to keep all my chips, push them to the middle of the table for one Mr. Bryson DeChambeau, 8.5-1. Saw this number, I thought I was crazy. Why isn't he the favorite for this tournament? Almost won the Masters. He was leading on Sunday. Almost won in Doral. Just got to figure out those irons. He's going to be putting in the work. So 8.5-1. And then the bonus PGA Championship future. We all saw how well that 220-1 Sergio Garcia ticket hit at the Masters. Just I saw him 3-putt 9 in person. I knew it was over on Thursday, which is always unfortunate in that beautiful red and yellow Fireball costume.
Jeez, what was that?
But we're going with another live guy, of course, Patrick Reed, 80-1. There's probably only 5 guys who can win a major right now, it seems like. But I think Reed could maybe make that 6, especially at Quail Hollow, where he finished runner-up in 2017 and had a good history while on the PGA Tour. So he is my pick.
I appreciate that. I actually have a future on Bryson already at Quail Hollow. Yeah, got locked that one in as well.
You know what I'll do? I'll parlay him in Mexico with him at Quail Hollow.
And see, you're speaking my language. Just wait until the long shots. Why? And you'll see why I wanted to skip long shots. Wait till we have parlays galore for you. Sobel, you're taking a plus 550, a guy that finishes in the top 10 in every live event. He's only won 2 out of like 19. But you think he's going to win in Mexico City?
I don't know. Look, it's more of a parlay piece. If you want to go top 5, top 10 on John Rahm, use that as a parlay. I'm going to get into why parlays are so interesting to me this week. We've got tournaments all over the world and some big ones on some other tours. First of all, if you see on the screen there, Club de Golf Chapultepec, and if that sounds familiar, the PGA Tour played there from 2017 to 2020, the WGC Mexico tournament. And oh, by the way, this is kind of ironic, kind of weird coincidence. All 4 winners are in the field for live this week. It was Dustin Johnson twice, Phil Mickelson, and Patrick Reed, who were the winners of that event back in the day. So they're all there. At least there's some course history for those guys. Rahm has played well. Look, he doesn't win that much out there, but he doesn't finish that far back. This is not an all-in 5.5-1 kind of bet. It's just keep them in mind for parlay pieces when we're getting to there. And then I did some serious research on this one. Abraham Answer from Mexico. They're playing in Mexico.
No, actually, wait a second. He was born in Texas. He is of Mexican heritage, but he was born in Texas.
He aligns with Mexico.
Well, right. Yeah, he does.
I mean,
align with Mexico, yeah.
Couldn't make the U.S. Ryder Cup team. So
that's why I picked him too. I got to admit, he's 13th in the live standings. Yeah, I was going to say, but he technically, I did look this up this morning. I wrote a live column. You can find that, I think, somewhere on CBS Sports. It'll be up tomorrow. Born in Texas, but he is of Mexican heritage. A guy that was born in Mexico is Carlos Ortiz, who, by the way, is playing some really, really good golf right now. So he was T2 at Live Adelaide, as was Answer, a few months ago. He won the Asian Tours International Series Macau event last month. Second time we've brought up the International Series Macau in this program. Who knew? And then 2 weeks later, he finished 4th at Live Miami, gaining more than 4 strokes on approach and with the putter. It's all I need to see at a big number of 28-1. And this, you talk about, what meaning a win would have for somebody. Carlos Ortiz winning this event in Mexico City would mean a lot. And one thing about this event, in doing a little research, I did not realize that Mexico City is like 1.3 miles above sea level. And this golf course is 7,300 yards. So basically, I mean, Patrick and Sobel are probably a lot smarter with the math and Sia than I am. I'm going to say like Bryson DeChambeau and John Rahm are going to be playing short irons or long irons into clubs, correct? Or into the greens.
Course.
Sorry. Yeah.
Putt course for these guys.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Now let's bring on our long shots. And this is where things get fun. But Sia is going to ruin the fun and give us a couple of actual long shots for the event. So what do you got?
Oh my gosh, look at this screen.
Wow.
Listen, Bud Cauley's pretty good at golf. Really good closing round at Harbor Town too, which was kind of fun to see. Kevin Tway's he's been missing cuts, but he's been around for a while. Like we do get some, historically, at least some spike rounds from Kevin Tway. I mean, he's going to have to really be dialed in on the alternate shot on Sunday and Friday, but I thought 70-1 was at least doable. I think the one I like more is Chris Ventura and Antoine Rosner. I think Antoine Rosner is a pretty good golfer. I think Chris Ventura has plenty of upside that we just haven't really seen yet. And when I see 100-1 and I see guys like Chad Ramey and Martin Traynor, Nick Hardy, Davis Riley, and that's just a handful. Like look at the leaderboards over the last 3 years. Some of these guys are either in the playoff or they're 1 or 2 shots off the playoff. I think Ventura and Rosner could miss the cut famously, or they could be there on Sunday afternoon. 100-1, is it worth a couple of bucks? Probably.
See, at big odds, I think I could add that to my card, and I wouldn't even need to parlay much tennis with it, so even better. Sobel, I don't know what you did here. You inspired me, but can you please explain the concept of round robining?
All right, so I usually wait till Wednesday night to sit down with a nice beverage. The week of previewing and podcasting and everything else is over, and I can sit here and make the dumbest absolute parlays that I can find. And this week, there are so many tournaments being played on so many different tours that the point here is, and whether you want to go with my picks or not, it's just fun to like parlay and round robin and have a lot of stuff going on. I will make a whole lot. And look, these are not like, full unit parlays by any means. These are like, $2 type parlays, and just throw some stuff out there, and you might forget about them for a few days. And a lot of times I'll look on a Saturday afternoon, I'll be like, oh, I actually got a couple of pieces of this parlay still going on, and I round robined it. So this could happen. And like, I've yet to hit a massive one, but we're still waiting at, quite frankly, the segment is long shots. These are very chalky parts to a parlay right here. You can probably find much better numbers, and I will take guys for top 10s, top 20s who have bigger numbers next to their name and parlay those. But it's just a fun way of trying to look around, especially on a week when you have the Zurich Classic, which again isn't my favorite tournament to bet on the PGA Tour. In fact, might be my least favorite tournament to bet. Look elsewhere and have some fun with it.
So you're going John Rahm in Mexico City, Eugenio Chacarra, who is exiled from LIV at the Henan Classic, Stuart Singh at the Mitsubishi Electric Classic, and Gino Didicol at the Chevron Championship.
I just tried to take the hardest names for you to say.
All right, Patrick, what did I mess up there? Did I not get Eugenio?
You nailed it.
Did I?
Yes. 10 out of 10. 11 out of 10.
All right. Well, I'm going to try with my own parlay. It's almost 75-1. I put this one together in honor of Sobel. Taylor Moore, Wyndham Clark, top 10. I talked about that. Carlos Ortiz, top 10 in Mexico. Makes sense. Jacob, I think it's Jacob Skov Olesen, top 20. Yeah. I have never heard of this guy before.
Jacob, don't call me Jacob. Yep.
But he has 3 straight top 20s, including 2 straight top 10s.
Young kid, really good. He would have been in the Masters, but he turned professional last year.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so we're going with him top 20, and then Charlie Hall top 10 at the Chevron Championship, and she's been great on the LPGA Tour. 75-1. I mean, worth a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Patrick, I mean, you got $2 here. Yeah, we could take a shot.
$200, easy.
As we put up the recap screen, it's one of my favorite parts of the show, and you guys as well, as we've talked about in the comments. It is time for Sobel story time, and I don't know what he's going to have from this event in New Orleans, but give us anything in the golf world to entertain us.
This one's going to need a minute, but it's worth it. Okay, so back in 2006, the first event being held in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina was the Zurich Classic. Back then, it was an individual event, wasn't yet a team event. Chris Couch, he of 2 made cuts in 9 starts going into the Zurich Classic that year, had missed the cut the week before in Houston, decided to get there early, got there on a Sunday with his trainer who was caddying for him for the first time. They went out on the town at Bourbon Street. Something happened, and Chris Couch wound up meeting with tour officials, meeting with city officials the next day. No one really knew. There were all these rumors flying around that he had gotten kidnapped, that he'd gotten abducted, he had gotten arrested. All these rumors were flying around. Well, they weren't too worried about it because Chris Couch wasn't very good, and Chris Couch wasn't going to talk to reporters or anything, so it was just going to be slid under the rug, and it didn't matter. Well, come Sunday, Chris Couch, who had made the cut on the number, shot 63 on Saturday. On Sunday, chipping cross-handed from behind the green, he makes one to win. Lanny Wadkins, the analyst on the call, yells, "Holy shit," on live TV. All mayhem breaks loose. Chris Couch then wins the golf tournament and is asked about what happened on the Sunday beforehand. He said, "I haven't seen what was written, but I'm sure it was all the truth." They asked, we'll assume you're not going to celebrate in Bourbon Street. He said, "You never know. You might see me down there. I like Bourbon Street." He was asked, could you ever put this whole week into perspective? He said, "I doubt it. It's been an adventure, but it couldn't have worked out any better." Well, 7 years after that, I'm living in Orlando at the time, where I am now at West Orange Country Club, my place. Chris Couch teaches, and I see Chris Couch every single day. And I went up to him. I said, "I don't know the story. Would you tell me the story, and can I write it?" And he goes, "Sure, come on over tomorrow." Sat down on his couch for about an hour and a half one day, and he told me this story. And if you go on, you can find the story. If you search my name and Chris Couch in New Orleans, you can go Google the story. It's a longer story. It's called The Curious Case of Chris Couch. Essentially, that Sunday night before the tournament started, he was on Bourbon Street, went into a bank to an ATM. He got turned around, couldn't find his buddies, walking through the streets of New Orleans, which still, remember, it's kind of scary right after Katrina. He asked a police officer, how do I get back to my hotel? And the officer is talking to a few women who are in a car, and they say, come on, we'll give you a ride. Well, he realizes he gets in the car. They're driving away from the city down some dark streets. They pull the car up to another car. 4 guys get out of the car and decide they're going to fight Chris Couch and they're going to try to rob him. He runs barefoot. He kicked his sandals off, ran 20 minutes barefoot through the streets, somehow got to a place where they called the authorities for him, and they got him back to his hotel. And the next day he went out and started his first practice round in New Orleans and told the officials about it. He told me, and again, there's no way of corroborating the story. We don't know the other people that were involved. He told me that they told him, since it was the first event in New Orleans since Katrina, don't say anything about this. We don't want to scare people off. We're trying to bring tourism back to the city. So when he won that event on Sunday night, he still had that in his head. And he basically said, I don't know. Whatever happened, happened. I don't really know. That's the story. It's one of the absolute craziest stories I've ever heard on the PGA Tour.
Wow is right. I pulled up the article. I will read. I mean, obviously you just gave us the summary, but you wrote it in 2013. I really want to see that Lanny Watkins call because that had to be something. But that is an all-time story, and that is why we love Story Time with Sobel here on the Best Bet Show. Thanks to producer Matt. Look at this graphic. I mean, that was A++ every week, doing some serious work. Make sure to like this video if you and like the SportsLine page if you don't follow us yet. What are you doing? I mean, Sia's on there all day, every day. It seems like you got hosting a show. You got to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. Sia's doing a great job giving out picks. And here's the one thing you can do with those picks. You can parlay them with our golf picks, and that's how you make more money. That's how we do it on the show. So for Patrick McDonald, Sia Nejad, and Jason Sobel, I am Eric Cohen. As I always like to say, let's hit it big. Good luck.